Okay, before I can talk about the Mikal Bridges trade, I first need to tell you how I found out about the Mikal Bridges trade, because my roommate and I were about to watch Remember the Titans. It was on the TV, the lights were off, we were ready to go. I checked my phone one last time. I see this breaking news graphic with Mikal Bridges. I see the tweet mentions the Knicks. I'm like, haha, very funny. Fake Woj account tries to get me. It's not going to work. But then I see it comes from @WojESPN. I'm like, wait, that feels very legit. And I click his profile. I'm like, wait, this is legit. Wait, that means we just traded for Mikal Bridges. Oh my God. I start freaking out. I get to break the news to my roommate, who he starts freaking out. We start freaking out for an hour. It was such a great experience. But as far as the trade itself, I love this trade for the Knicks. Before he got to Brooklyn, when he was on the Suns, Mikal Bridges was known as one of the best 3-and-D guys in the NBA. This dude was top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year voting on the Suns, all defense, one of the best spot-up shooters, especially from the corner. And then in Brooklyn, okay, he might not be a 1A, but he definitely got to show more of his, on-ball creating chops. And now you put that guy on this Knicks team that just got to Game 7 of the second round with a severely undermanned squad. We get to swap out Bojan Bogdanovic, who, salute to him, I respect everything he did for the Knicks in his short time, but we basically just swapped Bojan Bogdanovic for Mikal Bridges. An already deep team just got insanely deeper, and already great, defense just got better, and already great chemistry just got even better. Everything about this Knicks team just got so much better by adding Mikal Bridges, so why wouldn't I love this trade? And the few reasons I really love it is that, Boston obviously just won the championship, and one of the things we all really loved about this Celtics team, that we all respected at least, about the Celtics team is that, they had so many guys who could pass, dribble, and shoot, and that's what made them so unstoppable. And I'm not one to necessarily believe in the idea of, okay, this team won the championship, so if you want to beat them next year, you have to do what they did, but better. You have to replicate their style of play in order to beat them. I don't necessarily believe in that. I think there's many different ways to build a championship contender. Like, for example, Denver won 2 years ago and Boston won last year, 2 very different teams. So as you can see, it's not necessarily the case. But naturally, it's very easy to feel like the championship runs through Boston next year, especially if you're in the Eastern Conference. And so to match them, you're going to have to try and match their versatility in some ways. And to get Mikal Bridges, I thought we already had a good chance of doing that next year. I already thought that if the Knicks ran back this team, they would have a good shot at beating Boston and being legitimate contenders. I already thought that before they traded for Mikal Bridges, and then they get Mikal Bridges. Now it's just more of the same. It's just more of what makes the Knicks already great. It's shooting, it's size, it's versatility, it's chemistry, it's ability to score on your own, and grit and toughness, and just, oh my God, it's all that stuff. And to think about how they're going to match up against Boston, there's no way that's not the opening night matchup anymore. Oh my goodness. And another thing I really love about this move is that I think Bridges' stock sort of took a bit of a dip this past year because he arrives in Brooklyn 2 years ago and he puts up 27 points on good efficiency to close out that season. And there's all this talk about, oh wow, can Mikal Bridges actually be a 1A kind of guy? Can he be a star? Can he be an all-star level scorer? Is he like the next James Harden, diamond in the rough, underutilized on one team and then goes and becomes a leader of a different team? And then this past year happened where he averaged over 20 points, but wasn't such great efficiency. And then I think the conversation was sort of okay, maybe he's not that. And so, but you think about what his role is going to be on the Knicks, and it's just funny because Mikal Bridges as the 1A kind of guy, maybe not great. Mikal Bridges as a complementary piece where he can just, focus on shooting from beyond the arc, which he's going to get so many open shots, and he's an elite spot-up three-point shooter, specifically from the corners where I believe he shot above 40%. Mikal Bridges, who, because he doesn't have to focus so much on carrying the load offensively, can focus more of his efforts on defense, where he was the top 3 Defensive Player of the Year finisher 1 year. That's going to be insane. And a Mikal Bridges, who's the focus of opposing defenses and the best defender, again, maybe not so great, but a Mikal Bridges who, because defense are going to be focused more on Jalen Brunson, on Julius Randle, and even on some nights maybe on OG, assuming he resigns, and Dante DiVincenzo, and keeping Hartenstein, assuming he resigns, and Mitch off the glass. The fact that he's going to be able to capitalize on much lesser defenses or much less defensive attention, that makes him look so much better too. And another thing I love about this deal is okay, this team is so insanely loaded, which means there's probably going to have to be sacrifice involved. But because of the chemistry of those 4 guys, of the Nova 4, Brunson, DiVincenzo, Hart, and Bridges, I imagine there's going to be no problems where if you believe Bridges should start over DiVincenzo, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think Dante will happily sacrifice, that starting role to Bridges because that's his guy. They play together. It's so easy. It's so much easier to sacrifice for someone for someone you have chemistry with. And the fact that all these 4 guys have chemistry with each other, we talked about a lot with Golden State, where that's such a big reason for their success, where it's not just the talent, but it's knowing how to play off each other. Like, that stuff matters in the NBA, and I don't think we see it as much in the modern NBA, where so many guys are constantly on the move after only like 1, 2, 3 years. But like to have these core 4 guys who are going to be such big parts of the rotation, who know how to play off of each other and have done it at a really high level. They've won together in college, obviously not the NBA, but like they've won and they know how to play off each other, and they have such good chemistry, and you know that's just going to seep out to the rest of the roster because it's great. Like, it's like they're all just super likable, low maintenance guys. Like, it's just the perfect fit. And I'm so excited, like, to go from Bojan Bogdanovic, who I really liked in that role as like a 7th or 8th man, like a microwave scorer off the bench, to go from that to now Mikal Bridges. I mean, it's just going to be insane. And so, you know, obviously the big question that a lot of people have with this move now, of course, is, well, the Knicks gave up a lot of picks. That's the big concern. They gave up so many picks. Why did they give up so many picks? And I'm on the record as saying, you know, when the Wolves traded for Rudy Gobert, that you don't give up that many picks unless it's for a superstar. I've said that, and I still believe that. And yet, so technically, it does feel like the wrong move for the Knicks. But you know what? I don't really care. I don't care. I'm completely fine with it because, you know, if you're the Knicks and you saw everything that they did last year, undermanned squad, like, they were going to come into the season as contenders anyway, assuming they ran back everything. OG Hartenstein, if they ran back this team fully healthy, they were going to be contenders anyway. So that means that there's this championship window that they have right now. And if you believe that there's a championship window within the next, let's say, 3 years, because championship windows are never open for as long as you think they're going to be open for. So let's say in the next 3 years, if you believe that the Knicks have a legitimate chance of winning a championship for the next 3 years, which I do, I think a lot of people around the league and the media and fans and the team itself does believe, which is going to help you win a championship more? Is it going to be, you know, a first round pick in 2028, where, like, even if we talk about the best case scenario with that first round pick, where it's probably going to be a late first round pick, and let's say we unearth a diamond in the rough, how long is it going to take for that diamond in the rough to reach its potential? Way too long to capitalize on this window. So, like, wouldn't you just have Mikal Bridges, who can help with this window now? Like, that's always my thing with first round picks, is I think a lot of people, first of all, I think a lot of people think they're going to turn out better than they always do, which is like, I think most first round picks don't return a lot of, you know, great positives. I think most of them wind up flopping. But even if they do, it's just the timelines aren't necessarily going to work. And so if you're the Knicks and you have this opportunity, go for it now. Like, that's the thing. It might have been a lot of first round picks, but guess what? It costs a lot of first round picks because the Nets weren't going to want to trade Bridges with 2 years left on his contract unless the Knicks came in with 125 cents on the dollar. But the thing is, the Knicks could afford to come in, you know, and overbid for Mikal Bridges. First of all, because they have the assets to do it, and that's a credit to Leon Rose and all the picks he's accumulated. But it's also because you can view Mikal Bridges as this final piece, as this last piece that they need to legitimately go for it, where it's not like you're bringing him in and then, okay, it's okay, we still need to figure out these next few things. It's okay, he's the last piece we might realistically need to compete for a championship, so let's just get him. Doesn't matter how we get him. You also have to realize that, like, part of the reason the Knicks gave up so many picks is because they didn't give up any players. Like, they only give up one player. I think that's usually a scale that people don't realize, is like, the more players you give up, the less picks you have to give up, and vice versa. So, like, the Knicks clearly didn't want to trade any of their core guys, and I get that because it's an awesome core that you want to keep together. So that meant giving it more first round picks, which is totally fine with, because again, you're trying to compete for a championship. And if you're trying to compete for a championship right now, I'd much rather have one of the best role player complementary pieces in the NBA over a first round pick that, even if it does, you know, give us some positives, which again has a small chance of happening, it's not going to happen for years down the line. So I don't really care about it. We're trying to win now. Let's go win now. Let's go get it. And so it's again, I thought the Knicks were contenders this year no matter what, but now that you add Mikal Bridges to this team, I mean, it's just, I'm like speechless, because I don't really know what to think. It's a loaded squad. I think he fits right in well. He just does everything that makes the Knicks great, and does it at such a high level, and it's such a good deal. And oh my God, this season can't come soon enough. Can it come tomorrow, please?